China is using these vessels, which are dual purpose vessels. They essentially not only do maritime survey, they also do seabed survey for future operations of the Chinese Navy in the Indian Ocean. Sri Lanka can hardly afford to say no to China, and it has to allow. Otherwise, China will use its economic leverage to ensure that a country, an island nation, which is already in crisis, severe economic crisis, will go down the drain. For India, it is a matter of serious concern because China has a string of ports where it is actually expanding its naval footprint in the Indian Ocean. India has diplomatically raised this issue with China and saying very clearly that this is a matter of security concern to India and a maritime security problem for India. But China being China, it very clearly says, listen, what is your problem? This is, we are sending a ship to a third country.
The dragon is once again breathing fire. Yes, I'm talking about China and its so called research vessel, Shi Yan 6. Now, remember, India has repeatedly objected to Sri Lanka allowing Chinese vessels to dock in Colombo. Lanka has mostly made the right noises as far as India is concerned, but they eventually give in to Chinese arm twisting, which seems to be the case even with the Shi Yan 6. I'm joined by Shishir Gupta, executive editor, Hindustan Times. Shishir, what does China have to research so much in the Indian Ocean and especially near the Indian borders?
Aditi, China actually for at least the past 1 decade has been exploring the Indian Ocean as part of its strategy to expand its sea legs all over the Indo-Pacific. Now, in this, what it is doing is it is actually doing seabed research to ensure that new sea lanes are created for future expansion of the Chinese Navy and for future events in the Indian Ocean, much to the detriment of India. As far as Shi Yan 6 is concerned, India had raised objections on the Shi Yan 6 being allowed to dock at Colombo. The ostensible purpose for Shi Yan 6 is that it is going to conduct a maritime survey in the Sri Lankan EEZ with the Sri Lankan Maritime Agency NARA. But the fact is that China is using these vessels, which are dual purpose vessels. They essentially not only do maritime survey, they also do seabed survey for future operations of the Chinese Navy in the Indian Ocean.
Okay, just for the reference of our viewers, Chinese media refers to the Shi Yan 6 as a scientific research vessel. It is crewed by almost 60 people, uh, and it's equipped to do a variety of oceanographic, marine geology, and marine ecology experiments. But Shishir, coming back to India's concerns about this Chinese vessel so close to its shores. A similar episode of tension unfolded even in August last year. That was when the Chinese spy ship Yun Wang 5 docked at the Hambantota port in Sri Lanka, despite India's clear objection. Clearly, Sri Lanka is unable to say no to China. Is that what it is?
Actually, there is a saying that money makes the mayor go. The problem with Sri Lanka is that Sri Lanka owes $7 billion to China, and for a debt-ridden nation like Sri Lanka, which has actually given up its port Hambantota to China as part of the debt equity swap agreement, uh, Sri Lanka can hardly afford to say no to China, and it has to allow. Otherwise, China will use its economic leverage to ensure that a country, an island nation, which is already in crisis, severe economic crisis, will go down the drain.
Okay, tell our viewers about India's concerns with the Chinese vessels docking so close to India.
See, when Sri Lankan President Ranil Wickremesinghe came to India on July 20th, 21st, Prime Minister of India Narendra Modi told him very clearly that Sri Lanka has to take care of India's strategic interest and security concerns. Now, for for India, it is a matter of serious concern because China has a string of ports where it is actually expanding its naval footprint in the Indian Ocean. If I were to expand that, we can start from the Ream naval base in Cambodia, then Kap Phu seaport in Myanmar, then Coco Island infrastructure development in Bay of Bengal, then Hambantota in Sri Lanka, then Gwadar, Pakistan, then Jusk, Iran, then Port Khalifa, UAE, then Djibouti near on the mouth of Red Sea. So Sri Lanka, so China is all over the place. So that is the matter
Okay.
of serious concern because it really harms the Indian security interest and Indian maritime security. Because in future, what can happen is that China can use these ports for sea denial, access denial, and create a maritime deterrent effect.
What can India do in this situation, given the fact that the ship in question is categorized as a research vessel? It doesn't really fall under the warship classification, unless, of course, the Chinese vessel engages in some sort of a overtly hostile activity. What is it that India can do to manage this threat?
You see, last year when Yuan Wang 5 docked at Hambantota, Yuan Wang 5 is a ballistic missile tracker. It's an out and out uh, military ship, military surveillance ship. It has the capacity to track missiles as well as the intercontinental ballistic missiles. So, in a sense, what it really does is it actually monitors the Indian missile test firing, which is happening from APJ Kalam Test Center in Balasore, Odisha. So this is one area where the ships are monitoring the Indian missile activity. As far as the Shi Yan 6 is concerned, Shi Yan 6 is monitoring and is actually experimenting on the seabed to see future submarine operations of the PLA Navy. And this could happen as soon as 2025. And that is the reason why India is worried about the expansion of the PLA Navy in the Indian Ocean.
Okay, I want to talk to you about, lastly, the Pentagon report, which has just come out about China's build-up in the not just in the northern frontiers, but also in the Indian Ocean region, and they've defined China as a strategic threat in the region. Can you explain to us what does it specifically say? Since we're talking about Indian Ocean region and it's talking about and China, what does the Pentagon report have to say about their presence?
You see, the Chinese activity in the Indian Ocean region, it has got multifold concerns. First of all, the shipping lanes which are originating from Persian Gulf and Red Sea towards North and Southeast Asia, they are carrying trillion worth of trade. Now, in case in future China decides to leverage this and create a blockade, this is going to be a very serious trouble for nations like Japan, for nations like Australia, and for the Southeast Asia. The other thing is that the Chinese activity right from Malacca to the eastern seaboard of Africa is basically creating leverages through the BRI network and ensure that they get more seaports for their own maritime activity and ensure that they actually are networked throughout the Indian Ocean and can create a deterrent effect if and when they want it.
So, Shishir, has India raised this issue with China at all?
Yes, India has diplomatically raised this issue with China and saying very clearly that this is a matter of security concern to India and a maritime security problem for India. But China being China, it very clearly says, listen, what is your problem? This is, we are sending a ship to a third country. The same issue had happened even during Doklam, when they had come up to Doklam, to the India, Bhutan, China tie junction in 2017. When India moved in, they said, listen, we are going into Bhutan. What is your problem? So we said
Hmm.
very clearly, listen, just because you're going over there does not mean that you're not intersecting our interests, security interests. So this has been an on and off going show with China, where China decides that it wants to unilaterally change the ground position through either economic leverage or through military leverage.
Absolutely. And that the fact that China is a growing military threat in the entire region is not a secret anymore. It is being talked about more and more across several nations, including the United States. And there needs to be some efforts, and I'm sure there are already efforts underway to tame the dragon. Thank you so much, viewers, for watching this broadcast. Thank you, Shishir, for talking to
Thank you.
us.